This is episode 123 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by my good friend, Marcel Montano. Unfortunately, no Will Hagwood today because he just informed us that his roommates. I'm gonna go ahead and read into this. I think the roommates broke the internet router last night. So
what are they watching?
Too much Netflix. Too
much X-Wing.
Too many streams.
Yeah, too many streams at once.
All the streams. Well, before we go too far, I want to say thank you to absolutely everybody who was a part of the world tour, which isn't actually quite over, but we're done with the international part of it for now. It was absolutely amazing. So, of course, everybody who watched live, so give yourself some gumboats in the chat if you watched any part of our coverage of Nova or Australia or Buenos Aires or Poland, the XTC, Euros. I mean, all the stuff. It was so much, absolutely so much. So give yourself some emoji pumped up in the chat. If you guys can't tell, I might sound a little out of it, and that's because I am. My internal clock is a little bit strange and confused. I don't know what to do about it, but we'll figure it out. A couple of the things about the tour, I do want to give a huge shout out. I'm kind of upset that Will can't be here today because I wanted to give him all the props for doing an amazing job streaming Nova. He did great. I know. If you were, maybe you weren't watching, it didn't start great because while setting up, he was almost all done setting up, and all he needed to do, it sounded like, was tape down some of the wires, and somebody walked by, and the whole tripod setup with all the cameras, everything ready to go, fell down. And it was almost a travesty, almost a disaster. And it worked out. So it turned out good. The only thing that broke was the light. I'm guessing is what I heard, like a light mount. So that's not too bad. Could have been much worse. And but yeah, he was able to get everything there. He did a great job gathering all the lists and stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to be. He was on it.
Yeah, I mean,
what else to say? I mean, he was there in the morning. He left at night. He talked all the way through, and yeah, I mean, it seemed like he was really into it. I mean, just I think one of the things that would have been nice, but that's just me being critical, is he forgot a headset, so he had to do it all on his own. It would have been probably a little bit easier if he could have some co-commentary going on. So he only had one headset, so there was a few people that could have jumped on at different points to just give him some co-commentary, some color commentary.
Yeah, I forgot to remind him to bring his own headset in the whole setup. That was the one thing.
Yeah,
almost.
But yeah, he did great.
But he did it. Yeah. So what else? What else about the World Tour, man? I mean, it was absolutely awesome. I got so many new X-Wing shirts. This is one of them. This was from David. I'm forgetting his last name. From Australia, though. It was like X-Wing System Open. It has the dates on it, and he even put Gold Squadron Podcast World Tour 2019 on it. There's a picture of Lulo on the back of this one. I'll turn around and right there, some Lulo action. I think I also got a Soonterfell one. Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just amazing. So many awesome people. Like I'm gonna do when I'm like full brained. I'm actually gonna do like a formal and thank everybody for all the awesome stuff.
My name is not Marcella. Somebody called me Marcella.
Marcella.
So it says that I'm really quiet. So should I turn on my gain or?
Nope. You sound. I adjusted you on my side. That's a my side thing,
gotcha.
Not a your side thing. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm gonna do like a formal thank you because I mean, it's basically like everybody who housed me. You guys are amazing. everybody who who subbed or donated or just was a part of the chat and the hype. Thank you guys so much. Everybody who watched, all of the players who were willing to play on the stream, which was awesome. Because obviously, if players aren't willing to play on stream, then there was no point of me going around the world doing this. Probably like two people, and that's because they're kids, of course. They stick out in my mind. Who were really excited about the fact that I was streaming an event where they're at. So there was, I got to meet in person Katie from Sacramento. She was super pumped, lots of high fives there, and she won her first tournament game at the Sacramento Hyperspace Trial while I was there, which was awesome. And then there was also Cohen. His name was Cohen from Australia. Young man was really excited to meet me and stuff like that. Like, that was awesome. And he gave me, and it's in my suitcase right now, which I need to unpack. But he gave me this awesome like tactical braided bracelet. It was really, really cool. I wore it the whole time I was there in Australia. It was really, really nice. So shout out to him and his dad. It was just amazing. All these places I went to see the different like X-Wing communities and how we all love the game. And then also just to have the opportunity to see different parts of the world. One thing I was telling people, a lot of people were asking me like, what's like your favorite thing about doing this tour? And that has nothing even to do with X-Wing. It has to do with how my mind feels more open because I was able to see people in so many different environments, and just my world view, right, has completely changed since going on this trip. Even just having the ability to meet people from and be in different parts of the world and realize that, the percentage of the world that I had seen was nothing compared to what I could have seen. And even though my reach, my physically has extended however many fold, if you want to count it, however you want to count it, but like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I want to thank everybody who was just part of that.
Yeah. No, I think I don't even remember because I think last week I was in a haze. We did do the podcast last week, I believe, William and I.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we did, and I did give my recap of Europe, I believe. Now I'm in a haze about being in a haze last week, but yeah, I mean, we'd seen a lot of the players already in events here at Adepticon or at Gen Con, Nova, at Worlds. Definitely, we've seen them. Some of them, but I think seeing them in their environment and it's not them visiting us, kind of gives you the perspective of what they feel like when they come over here and they visit. They go to Adepticon or they go to Worlds, and they're kind of on our environment, and we're hosting them. So it's a different perspective. It's a different point of view, and when you're on the other end of it, and we're visiting them. And seeing them in their environment, and we're the visitors, is just I don't know. It's just really cool. That for me, that was the best part of the whole thing. Is just being in that environment. I'd been to Europe and I traveled a lot before, but it's different when you travel for vacation and traveling in a situation where you're meeting people that are in the same hobby and doing it for more like this type of event.
Yep.
And I think it'll also, more than anything else, got to meet so many different people and so many of the top players, so many of the top skilled players that are going to be making out to Worlds, that when Worlds eventually comes around, it's going to feel like a reunion party, like a high school reunion party, because we've seen them, they've seen us, we've seen them, we've hung out with them, we partied till 6 a.m. with them. And yeah, I think it's just gonna make things so much better, and I'm excited to do not just with part of the podcast or as part of a team events, but just doing more of it. It kind of tickled my fancy to get more of it.
Absolutely. Let's say hello to Will Nova MVP Hagewood.
I made it. Sorry, guys.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Oh,
that's
that's so
right.
funny.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there? Ah! How you doing, man?
Doing good. Apparently, there's electrical or a storm last night that blew out our router. So I gotta go. I'm on mobile right now.
No. Man, you guys don't have a you don't have a surge protector? You need me to send you a surge protector?
Dude, I don't.
What?
I don't know. There is a surge protector.
Will's like, I just work here, man. I just live here, man. I don't know. It went through the surge protector. Oh, that man. That must have been crazy then.
Yeah, I don't know. I made it though. It'll be okay.
That's good. Well, Will, today we're talking about when we get to it, we're talking about like I want to do a meta overview of not like I don't want to take specific lists like give me all the top 8 lists. I don't want to do that. I want to take a look at those top cut lists that were just a little different than what we're used to seeing. So those things that you wouldn't expect to have made the cut that were in there make you go, huh, interesting. The idea here with being able to go around the world and widening perspective is to take a look at the meta and widen the perspective with some of the things that we saw that were on the table. Maybe some of the things that maybe didn't make it on stream, or maybe that you saw that were just a little bit different. I want to do that. Also, we're going to talk about some of the upcoming new stuff. We also have to address the whole Nova prizes thing because I'm seeing all kinds of posts, and I'm thinking you guys are all out of hand. We'll get there in a second. Don't turn off the podcast yet. Trust me, you'll want to hear what I have to say. You probably disagree with me anyway, but that's okay. That's okay. You can post that in the comments. And then we're going to talk a little bit about post-tournament emotions. Post-tournament emotions. Okay. So, anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. Actually, wait, Will, you're on the podcast now, so I'm just gonna ask you, even though we're recording. So what happened? What happened with your hotel room? Like the air conditioning wasn't working?
Dude, it wasn't working. They were giving me the runaround all weekend about that hotel room.
Because I got the email. They're like, please rate your stay. I was like, wait a minute. Let me talk to Will first. A goose egg.
Yeah, terrible.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we'll get you a fan. I never saw that fan. They're like, oh, we'll get you another room. I never got that other room.
So it was only our room that was. I thought.
No, there's a couple other rooms. It might have been our floor, but
yeah, that was miserable sleeping. I'm sweating. Yeah,
it was a solid 80 degrees in our hotel room all weekend.
And the windows don't open in the hotel, right?
No, they don't open, and there's 3 of us in there. So, yeah, it was
cozy.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make sure to write a strongly worded review, because air conditioning is supposed to be included in the price. Just saying.
Well, get your refund.
Well, we'll deal with that stuff later. Will, let's go on to meta overview stuff. So while we were out and about, one of the things I knew that would happen with this whole world tour, especially with how consecutive it was going to be. There was 5 weeks in a row of tournaments that we were going to. It started with Gen Con. We just had the Australian System Open a few days ago. That's crazy that I was in Australia just a couple days ago. Now I'm in my house. Whatever. We're not going to dwell on that. And the world tour ends with this upcoming weekend, the Pastimes Hyperspace Trial. And with every event, we saw evolution of lists that came from before it. So, for instance, we started with Gen Con, and we had the first appearance, the first public appearance. I'm sure there's at least one person going like, I flew Inquisitors before everybody else. I'm sure there's somebody out there. But
I did against you, maybe.
Anyway, let's continue. See, there's always one. There's always one. All right.
Suck at him.
But we saw the rise of the Inquisitor, right? The Inquisitor, the TIE V1 chassis start getting really popular. There's different evolutions that came out of it. There was 2 Inquisitor lists with Grand Inquisitor. There was 3 Inquisitors. There was 2 Inquisitors in Soontir-Fel. There was all kinds of different variations that ended up. One of the last top meta ones was Morgan Reed, who actually took Soontir and 2 Inquisitors with Lieutenant Sai, or maybe it was Jendon.
It's
No,
Jendon.
it was Jendon, right? Jendon with Director Krennic. Yeah. So yeah, the rise of the Inquisitor. Maybe that's what I should name this episode. But yeah, that was really cool to see around there. Some of the other things I want to talk about the finalist for the Australian System Open, right? So XY is what he likes to be called because he doesn't like the way people pronounce his name, so he basically just goes by XY. But he had Count Dooku in the Sith Infiltrator with Heightened Perception, Tractor Beam, General Grievous Crew, Scimitar, and this is where the craziness starts. The K2B4, I guess continues more. The K2B4 Tactical Relay, and with, 6 drones after that?
Mm-hmm. That's because it's an 80-point Dooku.
Yeah.
K2B4, which one is that one?
So K2B4, look,
Is that the evade one?
That is the evade one. So it says, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 defends, it may spend 1 calculate token. If it does, add, that's the important word, add 1 evade result unless the attacker chooses to gain 1 strain token.
Yeah, but I think that's the one that I took to, I took something similar, which was Maul and a bunch of them to Iowa System Open. I took Maul with that K2 whatever and a bunch of those. But yeah, Maul was too expensive, and I think I did okay, but not great. So yeah, that was awesome. And that's what he won the whole thing.
He won the whole thing. The champion.
I think that's the first CIS major victory then, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean at a premier level event.
So what do you think of that list, Will?
I question the Scimitar ever since the points increase on it, and but Dooku actually benefits a lot from having heightened perception over hate because he wants to shoot first so that he can cloak afterwards, and then when you shoot him, he can clear the stress from the red cloak. So that's really interesting. Plus, being able to have Initiative 7 Tractor Beam, I think is really strong. I question the relay choice, but I can't deny the results.
Yeah, I mean, so of course, great player. He was able to take it to the top. But a couple of things he did really interesting. I'm not sure if you guys had an opportunity to watch the tape, but when you go back and watch the tape, anybody who hasn't watched it, his setup was extremely interesting. He set up with his vultures tilted like 15 degrees away from one board edge, okay, whichever side he was on, so that somebody who was playing the 90-45 game, when they would turn, he would always catch the back corner. It would, of course, bite him in the butt if they were ever to get all the way around him, because then the tables would turn. But he never let that happen, essentially. It just didn't happen. But that initial setup made it so that most Arc Dodgers could not get out with that normal barrel roll boost or boost barrel roll that would get you just barely out of Arc, would now leave you just barely in Arc. It was pretty interesting to look at his setup. Like you said, the tractor beam going first, we saw him tractor beam a Lambda shuttle. Okay? He was able to get triple tractors onto a rock. So, all right. First, we're dealing your damage. Also, now you can't shoot my vultures because, of course, that 3-dice gun from the vultures can be quite nasty.
Wait, how did he get the? Oh, is that with the tractor beam?
Yeah, he got 3 hits on the tractor beam, and it did some work.
Wow.
Yeah, it did some work. So, Will, while you were, I have more, but Will, at the Nova Open, what were some new things you saw pop up?
New things. Definitely. It's hard to describe. I think I saw a lot of the kind of existing archetypes, but just new variations of them. You got the Lambda Double Ace, Sinker Swarm. We had I'm drawing a blank now. A lot of Resistance 4 ships. Mike, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Gem.
Gimme?
I think it's Gem.
Gem?
Mhm.
Mike had brought basically like an efficiency Imperial squadron, and basically switched out the second ace to have both Piercebach and a barrage rocket carrier. So it was Lambda, barrage rocket, Piercebach, and Suntirfell. I thought that was interesting, but it's still kind of, like I said, like a variation on the aces archetype. I'm trying to think. I'm racking my brain now. I definitely saw the.
You had a Wookiee list.
Oh yeah, that was basically like Rebel Beef.
Mm-hmm.
That made it to the top 32.
Yep.
I was Wolfaro, Garvin, Benthic, and a green. So a lot of like focus shenanigans, basically doing what Rebels do, which is action, efficiency, and health.
You said Wolfwaro, Garvin. What are the other two?
Benthic and an A-wing.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah, it had Chewbacca on Chewbacca Hull on Wolfaro. I forget what Garvin had. I don't think Garvin had anything. Benthic had Perceptive, and there was a green with Crack Shot. Does that end up at 200? I'm pretty good with lists.
196.
196.
It's close. There might be some secret sauce missing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something in there that.
But that was the basic archetype there. So
Yeah,
Wolfwaro, huh?
Yeah, I mean, in the game we streamed, he was facing against Raymond Fox, and Ray just ignored it. He's like, "Nah, I'm good on that." Like, you could shoot a 3 dice focus. I'm okay. I'm gonna go find the other ships.
If it was Garvin Arc 170, it's 19. Was it the Arc 170 or the X-Wing Garvin?
Yeah, it was Arc Garvin.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, got it. Cool. Huh.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm trying to rack my brain of what other. Still had a Fat Han and Jake, and we got a game in against a Resistance 4 ship. Apparently, if you put Finn and Jess and 2 other ships in a list, that's enough to win games.
Well, yeah, that's something that we started seeing during the Sacramento hyperspace, right? That's really when things started to turn a little bit and the Resistance started showing up. It was like, all right, Finn, it pretty much has become Finn plus 3. And the variations I've seen has been like Jess, Bastion, Kova, Poe. I've seen Greer. I've seen Lulo. I've seen Tally. Temin. I saw Elo. Like basically, like just Finn plus other things has really been working. And really, what it comes down to is the fact that Finn, for the cost, is really, really good. And you can end up getting 3 other pieces that are, what we'll say, more appropriately priced and able to just get a lot of 3 dice guns in a single list with a lot of different, efficiency and tricks.
Yeah, I think Finn has officially replaced Lulu, I always say Lulu. It's Lulo.
That's right, right here. Don't disrespect this alien. Okay.
Finn has basically replaced Lulo in every single Resistance list. The heroic pattern analyzer Perceptive build on Finn is the same price as a naked Lulo. So, I mean, and I don't think I'm trying. Yeah, I don't think I just saw very much Lulo or that A-wing very much at all. I think, like I said, pretty much T-70s and transports and Finn have taken over Resistance.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's going to be around to stick for a while. I'm curious to see how many people bring it this weekend for the hyperspace trial here in Chicago, the Gold Squadron hyperspace trial. But yeah, that's definitely what we saw in Resistance. Did you see anything weird for Scum?
I I was in love with this Tirani Kolda, Torkel, Old T, and Seabor, which is basically like, let's grab some super efficient ships, right? And Old T, Torkel, and Seabor. But he had probably the only use of RK.
R5TK, right? R5TK.
Yeah, R5TK. So the build is R5TK on Tirani Kolda with cluster missiles and failsafe.
All right, what's the name of the ship again? The Kimogila. Okay, yeah.
Kimogila, Tirani Kolda. So let me walk you through. Seabor, Old T, Torkel, we're familiar with those, but I just love this Torkel or this Tirani build. I have to say something about it. So read everybody Tirani's ability.
So Tirani says, after you perform an attack, each enemy ship in your bullseye suffers 1 hit damage unless it removes 1 green token.
All right. So the player we had on stream, first round, target locks his Old T, because you can target lock any object right now. So target locks Old T-Rock and just sends Old T-Rock screaming in towards the opponent, trying to catch those range 1 Concord Dons and things, right? But how this works is that if you have the lock on Old T, you can take a target, or you can take a focus action. And when you have somebody in your bullseye, then so you declare your attack on Old Turok for your cluster missile.
Oh.
The moment you roll it, what is the exact wording on failsafe?
Okay, so this is so now I didn't have all the upgrades on there. Okay, so this is munitions failsafe on Tirani.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, while you perform a torpedo or missile attack, after rolling attack dice, you may cancel all dice results to recover 1 charge spent as a cost for the attack.
Correct. So unlike first edition failsafe that only triggered when you missed the attack, this the new failsafe just removes all of your red dice and gives you your charge back. But that attack still happened, so you're triggering Tirani's ability.
Right. And then you can spend the charge to attack again.
Right, you spend that same charge you just spent to attack somebody at range 1 of Tirani with the focus now.
Using the cluster missile text, which says which says after you perform this attack, you may perform this attack as a bonus attack against a different target at range 0 to 1 of the defender, ignoring the target lock requirement.
Correct. So there should be someone at range 1 of Old T. Tirani attacks them. And then after that attack, hits everybody in the bullseye again for Tirani's ability.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it's by far the best use of failsafe and R5TK I've ever seen. So
I think that's the only reason I've seen to take R5TK.
Yeah, it's an actual real reason for that. Outside of like Dead Man Switch, which I think is maybe the only other one. But yeah, that was hilarious. That was great on stream. I saw a lot of like versions on that Torkel Kirax Swarm idea. Yeah. A lot of people trying out different variations of that. I think we had a guy 06 drop, or sorry,
6-0 drop.
Drop, and he had Tirani, or excuse me, he had Torkel, Old T, and. Or no, sorry, it was Cavill. Torkel, Cavill, and Ketsu. Kind of variation on the list we've been seeing around with like Old T and Cavill and Ketsu. But in this one, putting Torkoal in there lets you make someone initiative 0, tractor beam them, and then light them up. It's not. Yeah.
I think Mad Chemist said that's me. Cavill Ketsu Mux.
Yeah. Apparently there was this big story, or he had to go do something that was very important. So
Mad Chemist, let us know in the chat so we can let the world know your story.
I forget what it was. Maybe it was something about college. I forget now. But yeah, that was super exciting. But like I said, like I said, we're seeing, as you called it, Dion, definitely saw just like the meta just like slowly evolving. You know what I mean? Everybody's taking one idea, kind of molding it, see how it can compete against the other meta lists, and trying to get something that will, what do I want to say, be able to fight. Not only it's like what it's trying to hard counter, but be a little bit more versatile as well. I think that's like you pointed out, like switching out Grand Inquisitor for Soontir Fel to get a couple more upgrades in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the same thing, is that even since Inquisitor can't really fight I6s, so kind of throwing Soontir in there is a good way to do that. Same with Dooku. Dooku is basically just like the same relay and droids archetype, but just switched up to be able to fight a more broader array of squadrons.
I like it. So Mad Chemist, he gave us the info in the chat. He had to take his daughter to her first day of college. So that's why he had 6-0, just smacked people around at the Grand Championship and said, I could win this thing, but I got to go be a responsible daddy. I like it.
Put her on a bus.
Put her on I'll put her on a bus.
Yes.
Public transportation.
Oh, what if it was far away?
Greyhound.
Great. Sorry, little Mad Chemist. All right, so that's pretty cool.
I'm dad to an 18-year-old too, so I'm allowed to say that.
I guess you're right. You're right. So one of the favorite Scum list that I came across was at the Australian System Open. Check this out, guys. Check this out. All right, let me make sure I press the right button. There we go. That one. Okay, so we got Forlom. Okay, with Kira, Advanced Sensors, Miss Hunter. Pretty standard stuff. Kira is something we hadn't seen too much on Forlom when he was first popping up at the very beginning of 2nd edition. But really, Forlom had not been showing up recently at all. Then Sarasu. That is the M3A Interceptor. If you're not familiar with it, the ability says, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends, it may reroll one of its defense dice. Okay. With marksmanship and auto blasters. Old T with Predator, because Old Terrak is pretty much the most efficient Fang fighter out of them all. When you compare it to, for instance, like Fen Rao, when you get that I5 plus its ability, it's just good, right? And then in the quad jumper, we had Unkar Plut with just contraband cybernetics. So this was Cameron Dunn. And he made it through, I think he made it to the top 8 and just barely missed out on top 4. So the idea basically was that Sarasu would hopefully make the range 3 engagement a little bit better for especially like Old T, which at range 3 most people are gonna target him, right? Because you're like, wait, you don't have auto thrusters anymore. I could probably get damage in there with, you only have one focus. But Sarasu just giving a little bit more defensive reliability. When talking about going against the list, he basically said, like, if people aren't going after Old T in the beginning, or if people are, that's a lot of times the wrong choice. But if you're lucky enough to get through it, it can work out for you. Basically, you want to take out Forlom first because that has the biggest kick. Interesting though, if this list becomes a a meta contender and people keep flying it, you're gonna really want to make sure you're putting those jamming beams for free because you want to get rid of that target lock for Kira because that's gonna matter. Because of course Kira's gonna want to fly in the rocks and allow Forlam to go into places where he normally couldn't go. And then Unkar Plet just dealing out tractor beams and just making sure that all these other all the other ships hit a lot harder than they normally do. But really, really cool. And I know that when we put it on stream, it was like, whoa, that's awesome. So you can check out that video on YouTube. All of the games aren't quite divided yet. We're working on it. You got to give us time, guys. Shout out to our editor who has been doing some great work. And we've been basically posting 1 to 2 a day. We're currently, I think, putting out the Gen Con videos, just trying to get all the content out, but not overload you guys with like 50 notifications on a single day. Because that could happen. What do you guys think of this list?
What was on Forlam again?
Forlam has Advanced Sensors, Kira, Mist Hunter.
Okay. Yeah, the Kira doesn't surprise me. Forlam rarely had a crew slot to begin with, and other than Tobias Beckett, Kira is probably my second favorite cheap crew for Scum.
Mm-hmm. Marcel?
Yeah, I think something happened to my screen here. There you go. It changed the channel to something else. I think it's a solid list. It's, you know, I think somebody mentioned on the chat. It's I think right now the meta, or not even the meta, I hate calling it the meta, just the game state, the way that the game is right now, there's things like this can actually exist. You can have things that are on every end of the spectrum, from things like this to an 8-ship swarm to a TIE swarm to, you know, just straight up aces, and everything has the potential to win. I think there's some things that because of the way that they're costed, they're a little bit more efficient than others. But for the most part, anything, if you get the right matchups and if you get the you know, if you play it well, you can do well with. Because on paper, this you would see this and you're like, well, it's just a combination of support ships, but there's no true, like, there is no looking at this list, like, there's no headliner. They're all support elements, but they kind of work well together. And if you fly it right and you understand your list and you understand what you want to do and what the opponent wants to do, and you can try to counter that or make them play your game, you can do pretty well for the most part. So I'm actually really happy with the way that things have been, you know, the way that the tournament results have been pretty across the board. I mean, there's things that are coming out that are, like you guys said earlier, that are kind of stapled on, like Finn and the Resistance is always there. Anakin or Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan more so than Anakin these days, just because of the point difference. But
I'd say
Obi-Wan. Huh?
I'd say Rick over any those two Jedi.
Possibly. I think Rick, for the most part, is yeah, I think just because he's so cheap. But yeah, the point is, like, there's lists that are out there that are kind of like the net lists out there, the Torkel and 3 Marauders and Seavor. But going like in the Separatists, there's you can go with all naked Trade Federation drones and 1 or 2 heavy hitters and do well, or you can go with something with like 4 Trade Federation drones and something that's really beefy like a Maul and still do well. There's just yeah, it's just a wide open field right now, and I really hope it stays that way. I mean, there's definitely some tweaking to do with the points, but I hope that this next wave coming out, or the next point adjustment, doesn't heavily skew in favor of one archetype over others. Yeah, and talking about lists, sorry, and one last thing, talking about lists that we saw this past weekend that were interesting. For me, it's actually one of the ones that I lost on during the Swiss, which was the one that was on stream. By the way, such a horrible match for me, but I mean it was a horrible played by me. But the list itself, I thought was pretty interesting. It was the Empire, and I'm looking for him right now because he did make the cut with it.
I know the list. I'm good at that. It's Jendon with title.
Okay.
3 tie advanced.
Yep, I'm seeing it right here. His name is Noah Ruthier.
Yep. Noah.
3 tie advance.
Apparently, this was his first tournament as well.
Yeah.
You get all the named ones that aren't Vader, Dion. Start there.
Merrick. And
everybody has...
And Zetrick.
Yeah,
everybody has clear control system.
Everybody has fire. Fire.
And Zertek.
Fire. Okay.
No, even the shuttle.
Oh, sorry. Even the shuttle gets it. All right.
There's like a crack shot out there on...
Yeah, the crack shots on... crack shots on Ved, full slow.
And what was it? Our proton rocket? The Merc was loaded down. I think.
Merc still had marksmanship and proton rockets.
What's the total on that after all those? Is that everything?
No, there was more stuff on there.
200. That's 200.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
No, jamming beam on Jendon.
Oh yeah, sorry, we can't forget the jamming beam, guys. It's important.
The jamming beam.
Sorry, I went from tear them up, throw them in the garbage to guys. We need to leave it on there.
But yeah, I like. It's really funny. I got to tell the story because this Marcel, please.
No, it's not funny. It was miserable.
No, not the game, but before the game, because this was after lunch, right? This was round 3, I believe.
Yeah.
So all during lunch break, I'm like looking around. I'm like looking at different people's lists, right? And I'm trying to see like what I was just saying, like take a staple archetype and put your own spin on it. And I saw this Jendon 3 tie advanced. I was like, well, that's kind of like Jendon 3 Inquisitors, but a little bit different. So I was like, I think this list has legs, man. I'm gonna put you on stream. And then I'm over there trying to find his table, and I'm like, Marcel, what are you doing here? I'm trying to find this guy's opponent. And he's like, I'm waiting for my opponent. So Noah I had already picked Noah like 20 minutes before the match, and he was already at the stream table. Then I turned out that he was placing Marcel, which I thought was pretty ironic. So I did not choose Marcel for that matchup. I chose Noah. It just turned out that way.
Yeah,
man. You know what?
Yeah, so it was hilarious because Zertek is actually the same ship that I used to love to fly in 1.0, but they had that different name.
So Zertek Strom says, during the end phase, you may spend a lock you have on an enemy ship to expose one of that ship's damage cards.
Yeah,
I remember that dirty thing you used to do, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Flipping people's blindeds.
Well, in this case, it was he got it on my Luke, and I got a face down on Luke, and then he's like, "Okay, I'll flip it," and it was a double damage. And then next turn, target lock action. Okay, I'll flip it, and I mean, it was a race to the bottom at that point. It's like, oh, how fast can I try to kill him before he keeps giving me a free damage card with just a target lock?
And that hurts because in that list, Zertek is the cheapest thing. It's 44 points.
Yeah, but I gotta kill it fast.
I know, but that's like the, the catch-22.
Yeah, and that was one of the games also that I forgot to do my Leia trigger on the K turn. I actually, I think he was down at 1 hull, and when I did the K turn to try to finish it off, forgot to call out Leia, and I was a sad X-wing with no actions.
Yep. Well, still missing triggers and still make top 8 feels bad? Question mark? I don't know.
It does feel bad, but anyway,
it feels bad for me. Anyway, whatever. One thing I wanna point out is that it's interesting to see the type of lists that are being. A lot of times, the kind of like funky lists that we're seeing out there are from players who are new to second edition, but they're good. They're good at games, right? Like they're jumping in here, like this, right? What was his name again?
Noah.
Noah. So Noah brings this list that I would argue that no competitive first edition player would bring this. They would rather bring the Inquisitors, right? And Noah brings this archetype and does super well. Gets into the top cut. How far did he end up getting, Will?
32.
Top 32? Yep. That's great. First tournament, absolutely amazing. And now people are going to start looking at this because I feel like a lot of first edition players try to build on old first edition notions. Now those ideas are still valid, right? Higher initiative, action efficiency, more repositioning, the better.
Yeah.
Right. Essentially.
And you got a 42-point, basically crit machine. Mm-hmm. And actually, not only did he let me put one more thing. That Zyrtec was the MVP. Not only did he keep on double damaging my Luke with one face down damage card, the first critical on Wedge was Panic Pilot. Oh. So I got 2 stress tokens, and then at the end of the turn, he's like, Panic Pilot. So after one turn, my Wedge had 4 stress on it. I mean, it was, it's
good thing you brought Leia.
Yeah, good thing I brought Leia to be able to flip it anyway.
Dot.
But no, that little ship, I think has a lot of potential as a filler in a lot of lists. And even the other one, the one below that, Bed Foslo. His ability, I didn't even think about it, but you could take the 3. You can basically even take the K turns and the Talon rolls, and use the ability to change the speed of the Talon rolls as well. Or you can take the 3 blue forward, for example, and make it a 4 blue forward, because you're basically increasing the
speed, not the difficulty.
Yeah, you're increasing the speed, not the difficulty. So it takes your blue maneuvers and it extends your blue maneuvers to
gives them a white 1 forward and a hard 1 on the dial as well.
So if you do a hard 2 to the right, you can bump that down and make it do a hard 1, because it doesn't say it has to be on your dial.
Right.
So it's like I said, it's very creative, and it's little tricks, little tools that I think that people oversee.
All right, so here's my question about this. So Jendon's really what makes this list possible, right?
Yeah,
these guys sets up the target lock early.
Yeah, they don't need passive sensors, just give blocks. Is Jendon too strong, or is he holding together bad Imperial ships?
I think I wouldn't say bad Imperial ships, but it makes a lot of Imperial lists viable to be able to have that set up early.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit too cheap now that we understand what the ability actually does and how the ability can be exploited and taken advantage of. I do think he makes bad ships playable. I think he makes good ships better, but I think the biggest gain is when you're taking ships low initiative. He does best with low initiative chips, because Vader can basically get his own lock. He doesn't really care about that. But I do think we can probably expect some type of increase on Jendon.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think, like I said, would this list have been... I think the argument we just made is the fact that this list wouldn't have been playable at a competitive event without Jendon. Right? So if you take...
I don't think they need to nerf him to be unplayable. I just think he could go up a couple more points because his ability is a lot more powerful than we've seen. Though, of course, we saw it all the way back in the beginning. He was originally you could run him in 4 proton bombers, proton torpedo bombers. That's what I lost to at Coruscant, and I don't think he's changed price since then. So maybe it's not an issue. It just feels bad when we see him very often. I guess we see Psy though as well.
Yeah,
Mike
both. I
and
mean,
David were flying Psy in the top 4 of Nova. So maybe it isn't an issue. Maybe it's just a play style.
What were we gonna say, Marcel?
yeah, I was saying that you see both of those a lot, but I think you see Jendon a lot more because with Psy is making himself better because he's getting free target lock, so he's making his own gun better. So Psy is more of a it's an attack shuttle, whereas Jendon is making it's almost purely a support ship. It's making other ships better. It probably wants. I mean, it still wants to get in the fray, but for the most part, you're bringing Jendon to make the rest of your squad better. You're bringing Psy because Psy is going to be a gun that has a target lock focus almost every turn.
Fair. Huh. Well, let's see. I want to kind of just go through some of the ones that I had here. It's just some quick overviews. Of course, this is mostly focusing on Australia from my part because that's what I saw in person. But Ben Doyle bringing a double Jedi list, but instead of it being Anakin Obi-Wan, bringing Obi-Wan and Plo Koon in the list. We also saw Thomas.
Wait, that was his bid, 146.
No. I just put the pilots there just to show
Okay.
it. Then we had Thomas Blythe, who brought 2 Rogue Squadron E-Wings and Wedge. So the Wedge, pretty standard loadout stuff, but really the thing that really called to me here was the Advanced Sensors R4 Elusive build out. No torpedoes in this list, all just going off of the efficiency of Advanced Sensors, being able to get actions before slooping and K-turning, and being able to use that elusive as much as possible, just getting all that value out of it. What tab am I on? Right there. Okay. Then we talked about that one, and then this is the last one I wanted to point out. Actually, this is Jaren Foss. Jaren Foss bringing back what was called the Squad of Legend. Redline Sunterfell Whisper. Whisper is the only thing that has any type of new tech on there, which is the passive sensors. But an old archetype, which he made it all the way through to the top 8 with this archetype, and was just crushing people. Was just doing really, really well. Had a couple of close games. I'm being a little bit dramatic, but still seeing a successful run with an archetype that was thought to be nerfed out of playability because it can't take like a 20-something point bid.
What's the bid on that right now? Is that
4.
his full list?
That is the full list right there. 4 points.
Yeah, but you don't get advanced sensors or fifth brother. So
You get fifth brother on Whisper.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, at least you don't get advanced sensors on Redline.
Yeah, correct. But like everything in this list essentially has multiple actions, right? You got Redline because of his ability, Whisper because of fifth brother and passive sensors right there. You're able to essentially be target lock focus plus the phantom evade, and then which activates Juke, and then Soontir gets multiple actions because of his ability as well.
That Phantom is the same build that David Kelly won Nova with, but he was flying Echo.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually with that you can still fit passive sensors on Redline, which basically what it does is just gives you 2 target locks and a calculate. So basically, you passive sensor, you get a free target lock when you passive sensor, and then at engagement, when you take your target lock or your calculate action, you get another target lock. So you can end up with 2 target locks and a calculate, and choose who you want to shoot at the point of engagement.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and it still fits.
Yeah, that would be a good way to get around advanced sensors because you'd have the second lock already.
Yeah. So you get a first target lock at the beginning, but then you don't know if you have a high initiative. If you have another ship, you don't know which one you're going to want to shoot. You can make that choice when it's time to shoot, and you get a calculate on top of that.
Not bad.
Cool. Alrighty. And then the last one I want to touch on here, this was Luke Sund, who brought this list. I think it was to the top 8, but I could be wrong about that one. It was Luke Skywalker, Jan Ors, and Nora Wexley in the ARC 170. So this was Luke Skywalker with R2-D2 and spare parts canister. So yes, that is up to 4 regens on Luke. Then had Jan Ors, which her ability is the one that adds additional attack dice for taking stress, with seismic charges, Lando crew, engine upgrade, and the Moldy Crow title. Yes, that is a 68-point Jan Ors. And then Nora Wexley in the Arc with Jin Urso and Hull upgrade. So the whole idea here is you bring Jan Ors into battle with double focus already, and then the Lando is the action there for Jan. And essentially, most of the time, you can end up with an evade, focus, evade on the Hawk using Jin Urso. And then, of course, you could take the focus or evade action on Luke as well. It was pretty interesting, pretty tanky.
That sounds so annoying to fight. Sounds like you're not hitting anything.
And yeah, if only you had Wedge with a torpedo.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun to see the evolution of lists that happened over these events. And again, there's so much information and data to comb through, and I think I'll do an actual video of what was the top cut of the Australian System Open and read through all the lists and do all that, separate from the podcast. But like I think just seeing people get more and more creative as we get new ships and new upgrades, it's always awesome. The game constantly evolving keeps it interesting. And now, which I think this is a perfect segue, we are T-minus 10 days away. Am I right? That 10 days away from the next wave dropping into stores?
Yeah, the 13th, I heard.
Yeah. So we're getting what are the new things? The new things are the Nantext.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes. Very excited.
Getting the Nantext. We know that we're going to see even more V1s, TIE V1s everywhere, because people who haven't been able to buy them can buy them now because they're part of that wave. Most likely, hyperspace is getting updated. What else? I'm missing some things. Help us out. We're getting the new Y-Wing.
Yeah, the Y-Wing for the Republic.
Republic Y-Wing.
That's got a couple droids, a couple gunners. Actually, a lot of new things for the Arc is what you're gonna see there. A lot of crew and gunners. Then apparently is a R2-D2 flies a Y-Wing, and you can put Palp as the driver.
Love it. My theme. What happened to my theme?
Who cares? Whatever. Awesome.
Then, what else? Okay, so here's a question. The Jump Master is part of this wave, right? And the Ghost. Do we think the Jump Master is going to go down in cost even more?
I hope so, but because also they're coming out with additional pilots in the pack, so I think they're going to want to.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, they have at least one additional. Not in this pack, not in the wave, but in the card.
In the
packs.
card pack, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in this, but we just want to make sure we're clear there. Like they're in the actual boxes. There's no
an
new
additional
things.
Jump Master pilot that is in the horizon, not in this specific wave. But I think they're going to want to sell. They're going to want to sell them. I think
They want to sell some Jump Masters so they can lower the cost. I mean, sure.
Yeah, and do they? I don't really think they need to lower the cost. By the way, I think they need to adjust the slots. If you give them a cannon slot, or if you give them an additional title, that there's things that can be done to make them better. I mean, at 44 points, I don't think they're terrible, or 42 points. I'm sorry. At 42, they're not horrible. They just really they struggle to get a arc rotation and to keep guns on target. So I think that you can fix it with a cannon slot. You can fix it with a modification or something that allows them to basically make the rotate action white. I mean, there's things that you can do without
you gotta be
lowering the
careful.
cost.
You gotta be careful with that kind of stuff though, because what you're saying are most likely cards that would be able to be used by other ships, and if you start doing stuff like, oh, this upgrade card changes rotate from red to white, there might be something in the future where you could just abuse that, and all of a sudden you're stuck adjusting points for two things. So I think if you're trying to work on a chassis, work on the chassis. Don't try to put band-aids with other cards. That's a first edition solution to a second edition problem.
No. I mean, you can make it ship specific. That's what I was saying. You don't have to make like an upgrade that does that for everyone. That's just a ship specific one. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't need to lower the cost. Their issue with them is not really their point cost. Their issue with them is the horrible dial and action, their action slots. So their actions combined with their dial is what makes them almost unplayable unless you're doing something gimmicky like what I was doing.
All right, so I'm gonna keep badgering you just a little bit just for content now. So
Sure.
what you're telling me is that there is not a point cost at which it is a good value to bring a jump master?
Oh, there's always a point cost at which is a good value. I mean, if you could spam 6 of them, you're gonna do it. Okay, try to kill all this. So there's always a point cost where it becomes just a little bit too good. I think the Kurax fighter is a good example of that, right? I mean, the Kurax fighter is a worse version of the X-wings, and it's a worse version of other ships that are in that mold. But because it's 38 points, it's a steal. So there's always a threshold where it becomes good, but at that point, it's not a good ship. It's just an undercosted ship.
Interesting. What else is coming out? So I know Snapshot. Oh God, I hate Snapshot.
Oh yeah,
I hate Snapshot. I hate it. I just hear the name and I get instant triggered. It's just like,
oh man, remember we were talking about Tyrannicolda? Tyrannicolda with Snapshot. Ooh, basically, if you have a trigger that an ability that triggers off of you attacking, ooh, Snapshot's gonna be good. Range 2. Oh man, here's a throwback. Did you guys ever play Major Rhymer with Tactician Snapshot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my favorite first edition Imperial ship. So that range 2 band is so easy to catch people in.
Yep.
Of course, it was a lot easier when they got double or triple stressed, but
I'm just glad that this card is coming out in the later part of the year. That way, when everybody is using it, it can just get points increased, and I can hear all the Snapshot lovers cry, and I will simply be very happy.
Dion, quick. Can you look up the Shadowcaster title for me?
The Shadowcaster title? Yeah, sure. I could do that.
Does it specify primary weapon?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord is the
Oh, no. After you perform an attack that hits. Oh, man.
Yeah. It does work.
It does work.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
You got a range 1 and 2 tractor beam.
No, and you can
tractor beam them twice.
You tractor beam them into range 1 of Ketsu.
Man. Come closer, my dear. Come closer. Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be good, and it's an EPT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you put them. I mean, you could put them on. For example, does it say front arc primary?
Nope. So actually, I have the text right here.
Sure.
It's already on Yasby, but it's of course they just have it at 200 just because it's waiting. It's a placeholder.
So what does it say?
It just says attack. You cannot modify your dice cannot be modified. That's it. That's all. It says.
Because the reason I'm saying it does have the missile slot, or if it says attack and it does, like there was a picture of it, I believe, right? Because is it front arc and back arc? Because in which case you can put it like on a tie SF and have a bigger bubble.
No.
It's a front arc
Front arc
special
only.
weapon.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, front arc special
Yeah.
weapon.
Okay,
It's not a missile either.
it's not a missile. It's just a front arc attack.
Mm-hmm. So it would work with resistance A wings.
Yeah, if they're facing their arc backwards. Yeah.
Yep. I think Crassus Trellix, is that the fire spray
Yes.
that can do special weapons out the back too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something
so
like
it would
that.
work with. But is that
Yeah.
considered a special weapon?
Anything that's
mean,
not your
gotta be,
primary
right?
is a special weapon.
Got it.
Oh yeah. We're there's some juicy options out there for Snapshot. I don't.
Okay, how does it? What does it say?
Snapshot?
Snapshot?
Yeah.
Snapshot says, after an enemy ship executes a maneuver, you may perform this attack against it as a bonus attack.
Got it. When you are cloaked, you're not allowed to attack while cloaked, right?
Correct.
Period. There's
Period.
no.
End of story.
Yeah, I got it.
Stop trying to break stuff.
No, I'm thinking. I mean, there's places. Oh, Wedge will like this. I like it on my Wedge.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna shoot you, and I'm gonna take your agility down.
Okay, all right, ready? Want some hot takes here? You ready? So here are some of the biggest things. When I was peeking at Facebook, mind you, I was super tired and doing stuff almost every day of the tour, so I wasn't super active on social media. Hot takes right here. So one of the things I saw is precognitive reflexes is just going to be a cheaper supernatural reflexes. What do we think? So if you're not familiar with that card, it was revealed in the Y-Wing article that came out a couple days ago. It said, after you reveal your dial, you may spend 1 force to perform a barrel roll or boost action. That part is almost, I believe, identical to what's on Supernatural. Then the second part here is, then if you performed an action you do not have on your action bar, gain 1 strain token. If you do, you cannot perform another action during your activation. So,
It's basically advanced sensors and supernatural combined into one. Advanced sensors in that it gives you that you can't perform another action in this turn, and the supernatural because it's supernatural. And the strain isn't really a big deal. If you dial the blue maneuver, you boost, you barrel roll, you get your strain, and then you get rid of the strain with the blue maneuver. So it's not that bad. Now the question is, you said it's going to be a cheaper supernatural, and that's the part that we don't know yet. Is it going to be cheaper?
well, okay, so there's a couple differences here between, because you said it's just going to be a combination of advanced sensors and supernatural.
Well, yeah, because you can't focus, target lock, or stuff like that. It's specifically barrel roll boost.
Right. So precognitive specifically says that not only can you not perform any other actions, or it doesn't, like advanced sensor says perform 1 action, right? But you can still, if I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and let me double check before I say something stupid. I guess it has that same text. You cannot perform another action during your activation, but didn't it say?
It's only if it's not on your action bar, though.
Right. Only if it's not in your action bar.
Only if it's not in your action bar, you gain a strain token. You cannot perform another action. Period.
No matter what during your activation, but that still means you can still be coordinated, right? You can still be coordinated things. You can still do linked actions off of it if you were coordinated.
You just can't do auto thrusters if you're Kylo.
Right. Exactly.
Which is what I would be trying to do. It was my first thought. I was like, ooh, cheaper supernatural for Kylo?
No, I mean, I'm thinking Anakin and those. But you know what it does do? I mean, depending on the point cost of it, it one prevents blocks. If you're going to get blocked, they're not going to get an action anyway. Might as well end up where you want to end up for real, and not get the block. And additionally, it gives the barrel or boost to ships that don't originally have it. So put that on Vader, and now Vader doesn't need afterburners every single time. You can just boost off of it. Yeah, you might not get your action that turn, but if you're trying to get out of dodge and boost is your only way to do that, it gives you that option.
Does it have any restrictions?
Small ship only, I believe.
I don't know because the source I'm
Because-
using is just
Yasby, but I think it had small ship only in the actual text.
That makes sense, because I was going to say, like, whoa, Asajj can be boosted out there.
Yeah, no, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't think so.
Yeah,
It's
Asajj barrel rolls before moving. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, but I believe it's small ship only.
Yeah, it says small ship. Correct.
yeah. So I don't know. It's
I mean, getting a boost on a ship that doesn't typically have it, or a barrel roll, and being able to prevent blocks. I mean, when you're getting blocked, you're not getting actions anyway.
yeah. I could definitely see this. I mean, obviously it comes on the Y-wing, so assuming Anakin's flying it, I'm thinking something like they blocked your 4K. So you could just like boost your barrel roll so they can't block your 4K. This seems very useful to where if you were just dialing in a red maneuver anyways, if you didn't plan on taking any other actions.
Yeah, I think it seems very useful to these to a regen Anakin on a Delta 7 that you don't want to spend 32 points on a supernatural. And you just use this as a last resort. You're not going to rely on this all the time. It's just if it's costed right, it's just going to be a last resort to make sure that you're out of arcs and get your bid down lower.
Okay. I just wanted to touch on that one because that was a the internet exploded for a day. Like, oh, this is just supernatural reflexes again.
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't know how they'll. Now the mistake would be just like advanced sensors. If they don't change the cost based on initiative.
Right, correct, and that's what I wanted to point out because that was an argument that I just didn't see popping up. It's really dependent on the points cost, and it must be scaled by initiative value. Hopefully, FFG like the design space of messing around with what happens before dials. I'm always very wary of it because those are some of the most powerful abilities that can exist. And I know that it's design space that especially recently, that the designers have been messing around with quite a bit. And I think they just need to be cautious because competitively, if I get to change my dial, essentially, and I'm at high initiative and you cost that too cheap, that is going to be something that competitive players are going to just abuse. Abuse in the best way. It's like, hey, it's there, it's in the game, I'm going to use it. So... just wanna, it's important to note there. Now, another hot take: the prizes from Nova Open.
Ooh,
oh
that's the low take.
Okay, so
or a no take.
As an outsider, as a person who was not at Nova Open, this is what my perception is most people who signed up for Nova should have known what the prizes were going in. I mean, my understanding is that the prizes didn't change, right? Like, it was still what they announced, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
That's correct.
Right? So, going in, you knew what it was first. So, I think being mad about it, which I do see some people being mad about it, I think is ridiculous. Like, you knew. So, calm down. Please. 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 Let's keep the peace. Now, the argument here, and this is what part I do understand, is should the Grand Championships have had something more for at least participation? Because I guess the part that I was surprised with when I looked at the original kit was that there was not at least there wasn't like a participation card, like everybody gets one copy of this thing.
No, the first card that I got was at the end of the day when they said I got like the top 4 rebel thing,
Uh-huh.
and that was the first time that I saw any type of swag. And then on day 2, did not see any swag until I think at top 16 I got a card, and then I think at top 8 I got jam tokens, and then at top 4 there was nothing except your invite. But if you already have an invite, who cares? And top 2 is where they gave like range rulers and templates. So really, it was you either got top faction in your Swiss,
Mm-hmm.
you got top 16 a Luke, which I love, by the way. That it's a really amazing card, the Luke double-sided Luke Vader card. But still, that was a top 16, and then just like some see-through jam tokens for top 8, and nothing for top 4, and then more for top 2. Which, and I think the biggest complaint about it is not just that they didn't give anything, is it's just how little of it they gave, and also the kind of the conditioning, right, and the expectation.
Well, yeah. So I think that's what I was gonna. I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
hit
wave
next.
championships. We got a lot for wave championships. We got the golden force tokens, which are awesome. I love those golden force tokens. We got cards. We got other things. We got a little trophy, and then for the hyperspace trials, we got dice templates. We got top 16 cards, and there's a whole bunch of swag. Gen Con, don't even mention it, like Gen Con and Euros.
Well, that's.
So I think it's the expectation.
I think that's what I wanted to hit was Gen Con. The Continentals, the amount of swag handed out there, especially at the higher levels, was amazing. Right?
It was ridiculous.
It was
I mean, yeah, the
all
template
kinds of
covers
stuff.
and template trays every day, and I mean, it was good. It was so good.
So like part of me, since I'm in like I do the logistics for us here for the podcast for swag and all that, but I kind of wonder if there was a little bit of give and take. It's like, listen, I want whoever's in charge of doing all the swag was like, all right, so we're gonna make this one, we're gonna load it out. The Continentals are going to be amazing because there's only 2 of them, right? There's only 2 Continentals right now. You have Euros and you have Gen Con. That's it. Grand Championships, there's Nova, there's the one that's happening in St. Louis, there is the LVO, right?
Yep. Canada has one.
Right.
Spain has one. Germany has one. Poland has one.
They're
UK
significantly more.
Yeah.
They're significantly more. So it's like I think so. I guess here's my question: do you think people would have been not upset if at least everybody who participated got it? Great, great use of words. Got a single card. Like if everybody walked away with one card, would that have stopped this whole argument? Just done.
I think it would have reduced it. Like there was a post on Reddit where somebody took a picture of an empty table and says, "Hey, check out my Nova swag."
Right.
I think it just exemplified it. But if you want to look at, you were talking about Grand Championships and Grand Championships being more than Gen Con, and Gen Con / Euros is a continental. It's a big deal. I mean, those are the 2 biggest tournaments outside of Worlds, and yes, they should have the biggest prize support. I don't think a Grand Championship should have the level of prize support as a Gen Con or a Euro. But if you want to just go kind of like tit for tat and do similar level premier events, look at the System Opens. And System Opens had a prize wall. They had tickets per every round. They had a participation prize, damage decks. I mean, there's plenty of swag going around at System Opens, and System Opens are more comparable with the Grand Championships. I wouldn't even say that. Grand Championships are less than are more than System Opens. Yet System Opens had participation prices plus incentives to keep playing even if you're losing and not making the cut. So
I guess I'd counter that, Marcel, with there was the faction prizes was an incentive to continue playing in the Grand Championships, but I like your point about the for the system opens. Every player got a damage deck. Every player got at least, I think they got at least a damage deck and a participation card. I might be wrong on the participation card.
and tickets for playing.
Right. Well, yeah, there was tickets, which is basically if you played 6, you could get 2 or 3 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think the problem there, and this goes back to the difference in the system opens of like when there was 8 and we had like Hoth, right? And then the next year everyone was Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
The prize support for the 8 that were different, Hoth, Mustafar, Tatooine, blah blah blah, that was less than the following year when all of the system opens had the same prizes and were all labeled Mustafar. I think that's the deciding factor, is that when you have a higher variety of prizes, like all the faction prizes, all the different cards and things, you're going to have basically a lower quantity of them.
Right.
And it's a hard thing to balance. I personally think that there should have just been 8. I didn't pay for the tournament, Marcel. How much was Nova's tournament? Not
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. I bought it a long time ago, but well, I mean, and then you got to look at it not in more than one way. So let's say the ticket was $30, maybe. I think Nova also had it's kind of a con, not a con like con, but like a expo. Even though with no sweat, maybe it was
Twitch
a con.
Twitch clip now.
Maybe it was a con with no prize support. But so it's connected to some type of con, so it's probably $50-$60 because it's not that big of a convention. And then you look at hotels. Okay, actually, let me look forward, because this price I do know, because it's off the top of my head, because I got the St. Louis one. So for the St. Louis ones, I paid $75 or $70 for the participation, basically, to get the badge and get entry into the ticket. So it's $70 for one person. Me and Kayla is going to be like $140 for 2, and then I had to get an Airbnb for the weekend, which is another couple $100. So and then I got to get there and back. And luckily, I'm driving distance, but it's still gonna cost gas money. So let's say it's going to be a $400 or $500 trip for 2 people, right? That's $400 or $500 trip that I know. I already know from Nova, like, if I don't make top 2, like, I'm really not getting anything new and anything great,
You're paying for an experience, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm paying for an experience, but I can go to like Great America like 6 times for that. That's an experience.
Yeah, I think a compromise that they should look at was just deepen the pool of faction prizes.
I think that's one of the things I feel people loved the faction prize idea. Sorry, keep going. Well, I interrupted you, but like people love the idea of faction prizes. Continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I agree. I think it is a interesting way. We have 7 factions now. I'm not familiar at all with L5R, Legend of the Five Rings card game. But what I do know is that the people who play the different clans are very loyal to their clan. If you're Crab Clan, you're Crab Clan for life, right? And I can see how they want to take that model that has been successful for L5R and bring it into X with the faction-based prizes. My only critique or whatever suggestion, I guess, or what I would want them to improve on is just be able. Well, I guess let me ask you, Marcel. For each day, what was the minimum faction you had to be?
4.
I'm not saying that right at all.
Nova
but-
4. Nova 4 and Gen Con 16.
So top 4 for Nova,
Okay.
and top 16.
But
Gen Con, you had to be top 16.
but there was 2 heats, so technically
So there was
there was
32.
8 prizes. Then 8 got
Yeah,
faction prizes.
and actually, that's something I have an issue with at Nova. At Nova, they kind of messed up the price distribution, because if you look on FFG OP, on the FFG organized play page, they
On
said
Facebook?
on Facebook, they said top 4 faction will receive damage decks and will receive whatever else they get. Top 4 faction for the tournament. And yeah, what Nova chose to do, that this was a choice, they chose to do top 2 per day. So yet, me being salty as a Rebel player, day 1, the best Rebel player on day 1 was 3-3. Like, they were not good. And everyone in day 2, all the Rebel players in day 2 were better than the best Rebel player on day 1, or at least everybody that made the cut.
I mean,
on
maybe
day
did
2.
they choose to go that way because that's what FFG gave them? Because part of this we have to understand,
I'm just
right?
going by FFGOP, what it says on the
Right.
page.
No,
The price
you're
report, it says
you're
top
right, but I'm
4.
saying you got to be
And I'm
careful
like,
how
I
you.
was number 3 for the whole tournament.
But what?
Yet,
Hold on, I want to
trying to
take a
get my
quick
damage deck.
timeout.
I
I
want
just
my
want to be
damage deck.
careful how you state it, because you said Nova chose. You got to be careful because they might not have had. If they didn't have 8 of them,
No, it was their choice. I asked
did
them.
they have 8 of them? They had 8 Rebel.
No. They had 4.
Okay,
They
that's
had
what
4,
I'm saying.
But they chose to give 2 in day 1 and 2 in day 2.
But
not,
Marcel, okay,
not
but
for the 4 best of the
right,
Swiss.
but you're not thinking of the logistics. If it was somebody's only there for Thursday, right?
There
They're only
was
there
no
for
flight on Thursday. It was Friday, Saturday.
Or sorry, excuse me. If there's somebody there who can only go on Friday on the first day, but can't go the other days, and they play a certain faction, how can they get the prizes if they're not there?
Mail it to them the way they
But
mail all the other stuff. That
But they only mail stuff
forget to bring.
if they forget stuff.
Hey, I'm just saying. They said top 4. It wasn't top 4.
I understand that, but I'm saying I'm not.
Dion, you hit the nail on the head. That's the exact reason why they did that.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a reason why. I'm just want to be salty because I wanted to damage.
I mean, you can be salty. I'm saying that don't blame Don't blame Nova. Blame FFG. That's you got to cast your lasers in the correct direction.
All right, let me finish my point here.
Sorry, go ahead.
Marcel, you're jaded. You just, it's okay though. You're fine. My point was that. So you just said top 8, correct? Top 8 of that was the minimum you had to be to get prizes.
No. Oh, you mean to get? No, I said top 4, or let me restate that by what actually happened. Top 2. No, top 4. Yeah, you had to be top 4 in your faction per day, because top 4 you got the card, whatever the faction card was. I got Dutch, and then top 2 was the damage deck. So yeah, you had to be top 4 in your faction for the day.
All right, so that's top
any swag.
Okay, so there was 8 faction prizes, 4 for each day, correct?
Yep.
All right. So, and I guess that's my point. But before this whole rant, my point was that if they would have deepened that pool, even if they were just a generic, they weren't the fanciest cards.
Somebody corrected it was top 8 per day. So card got top 8 per day.
Okay, top 8 per day. Okay, so I think if they deepened that pool past 16 prizes, maybe 32 even, I think that could be a way to, if they don't want to do participation prizes anymore, they need to deepen those faction prizes to people who, basically people who don't make day 2.
Yeah, I think the prize wall is probably their best. I mean, it's the best of both worlds, or it's the best of that you can get for various reasons. But
Well, prize wall feels good because of choice. That's
and also
yeah.
because it doesn't just trigger. It's not just a participation prize. It's a how well you did prize, because the ticket system is, if you go 0 for 6, you're going to get 6 tickets. So you're still going to be able to get something. I mean, going
Right.
system open route, you'll still get, I think most of the plastic see-through cards were 6 tickets. So you'll be able to get one of those. But if you go 5 and 1, or let's say you go you do that 3 and 3, you're going to get 6 plus 3, 9. You're going to end up with 9 tickets. So you get, the more it gives you incentives to actually try to win your games, even if you're at 1 and 4. You want to win that last game so you can get 2 tickets instead of 1. So that prize wall is really it's a good motivator. It lets you, it gives you a reason to stick and play, and it also gives you a reason to stick and play and try to win, because you get 2 tickets instead of 1.
Yeah. Again, I think logistically though, I mean, it depends on, like, the System Open series is run by a single company, right? So we had Cascade Games. Like they carry around the same stuff from place to place to place to place. But a lot of the Grand Championships, for me, it seems like it's being run by completely separate organizations. It's very similar to a hyperspace trial in sense of the kit. Like, all right, here is your Grand Championship box. Go run your Grand Championship. It's not necessarily like the logistics for traveling around a prize wall isn't there. But I think like what Will was saying, a lot of this would have been alleviated if there was just more stuff at the bottom, right?
Yeah, and
More stuff at the
I'll
bottom
go a
for
step
everybody.
before that, because a lot of people are also on chat, rightfully told, talking about like judge support, because a lot of the
Yes.
judges do it because of that support, and there was no judge support. Like a lot of judges walked away with absolutely zero. Which the reason they judge is, one, because they appreciate the community and they want to do something good for the community, but also because they get some swag. They get guaranteed swag. I know Mike Juris really loves judging, but he also appreciates the swag.
Right.
And they didn't get it. That's one. And two, and this was from Paul Heaver, conversation with Paul Heaver, is that you're talking about it's a kit, right? It's like a hyperspace kit, or it's like a wave kit. So
Right.
it's not Cascade Games going around and they pick up the prize wall, whatever they didn't give away that turn, they'll give it away at the next event, because it's the same people running it. So they'll just like take whatever they didn't sell, not sell, but whatever they didn't give, and give it away at the next one. It's a kit. However, with they were not happy with the price support that they received in their kit. And when they wanted to augment that with additional support, FFG actually rejected them.
I'm not surprised, but that's unfortunate.
And it was in a different chat that I'm in, and Paul Heaver was mentioning it, saying that they didn't, that they wanted to augment the support, to make people, give participation prizes and give more stuff to the people that showed up and didn't do well. And FFG literally told them, no, like, you got what you got, you give what you give. And the only way that they were able to give that additional support was through side events. Which again, that's you were talking about earlier about aiming my lasers in the right direction. I don't see the point of putting that stipulation on there. If the organizers want to, out of their own pockets, provide additional support to support your game, and maybe it has to do something with licensing. I don't know. Maybe
It definitely is. It definitely is, because I've chatted up a little bit to so for instance, the Fly Better guys are going to be running the LVO, right? The Fly Better Open with the Las Vegas Open, which is going to be a Grand Championship. And one of the things, again, I can't say anything is this official. This is all, I'll call this all hearsay, and just from what I have experienced personally, is that there is no augmenting that kit. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. But and even though, and here was the other point I wanted to bring up, is one other reality, for especially if people were used to going to the Nova Open the last few years, and not including this year, is that the Nova Open, technically in the structure of premier events, is actually Grand Championships is a step down from where nationals were in feel. right? In prize support, because I believe if I'm remembering last
And
time,
attendance too.
I mean, sure, I'm not, I couldn't be there, but I'm talking about just the event itself. The event itself is technically like a step down in the premier scale from where nationals were, and I'm curious to see what happens going forward. We don't know, but we'll see.
This felt like an episode of Fly Better podcast. We were complaining.
No, there's no complaint. I mean, sometimes
Is that considered shots fired?
no.
Complainers.
No.
So, Marcel, you're
Yeah.
you're complaining about not getting your damage deck.
Yeah, I want my damage deck. I can buy one for $5 now. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Did
Okay.
you see that they decided to sell them?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
here's
could just buy
our
one for $5.
positivity segment for Marcel.
Yeah.
Faction.
I gotta scrounge up $5 now.
Marcel, if you can't afford it, I'll get you a damage
I
deck.
can't
okay?
afford it.
All right, I got you. You know what? I'll even get you whatever faction you want. I won't even just pick it randomly. All right, so if you hadn't heard, FFG has decided to release faction-specific decks that are going to be sold completely separately from everything else. Here's the article right here for those of you who are watching live. You got all the different ones, and they're inspired by that original damage deck that we got, or that you could have gotten, where it was a large size damage deck. It is a standard card size with
awesome.
with the ship drawn on there, and it has the different parts that are red, which is pretty cool. I really like it.
Can I say I hate the Rebel one though? I like all of them except the Rebel one.
Why?
I never fly. I've never flown a Y-wing.
Then use the original damage deck. The big one has an X-wing on them. Why would they do another X-wing?
It's true, Marcel.
They do. They have X-wings.
What, are you kidding me?
Are those the ones I use the whole time?
Yes. They have
Okay,
a
you-
picture.
So I got
Oh my
Rebel. I
God.
got faction specific ones.
You have no. Oh my.
You said they got X-wings.
Okay.
Yeah, the big ones.
The big
Do you-
damage deck
Yeah, I got
already.
the big ones, like the ones that came with like the
The core set.
pre-order.
Yeah, that has X-wing on it already. They wouldn't do another
Oh.
X-wing.
So I got a Rebel specific one. So I
Correct.
don't need a damage deck.
So you see, you never needed it the whole time. Your whole argument
I
and
still wanna
complaining
complain.
didn't even matter. You know, I'm sorry, the people who listened for the last 35 minutes of Marcel complaining. It was literally a waste of your time, is what we just learned. Thanks.
Leia's fault.
Thanks a lot.
It's still
Leia's
Leia's fault.
No, you should remember your triggers, okay? It's your fault.
Actually, I sent Knuckles a message. I told Knuckles that he should make some Leia tokens so I can put it on the table. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's forgotten Leia.
that could be useful.
Yeah. I mean, they do Force tokens on the table. Why not? Or
What's stopping
like,
you from putting the charges out on the table behind AP5 right now?
have you seen how messy I am? If I put charges on top of that, like, good
So
Lord.
you-
I
So-
have seen how messy you are.
So I want to carry a Leia token around, but not.
I'm hearing three huge Leia tokens around.
No, it's just once Leia is active, the Leia token goes on the table.
But okay, so
and then I
then
take it
that
off.
gives you an opportunity to forget to put out the Leia token when you get the third charge on there. It's the same problem. If we rewind and you have
Okay,
a Leia
that's it.
token,
I'm not flying Leia anymore.
you would have forgotten to put the token out there if
She's
you forgot to
retired.
trigger it.
Apparently, you do fine without it, Marcel. So stop bringing it.
All right, but anyway, so let's talk about the new damage
Yeah,
decks.
yeah.
I'm super excited about it because it does one really important thing. We officially can get a player into the game without having to buy a core set. Okay, I think that is 100%
More importantly,
a mess.
we can get a first edition player into second edition without a core set.
into any faction, right?
Mhm.
So, and you know what I think I'm going to do? So these are $5 each. Honestly, I'm planning on buying extras of these. Okay, 'cause it's only $5. This is for me. I look at it as when we get new players. Hey, I want to play the game. Look, I have a damage deck. you can here's some templates for you to borrow. You can borrow these templates, and after that, they gotta get ships. And once they're ready to go, they can I probably would just
Okay.
gift them the damage deck. They can get a set of templates from Curl Paw Creatives. Use one of our coupon codes when they become available. Okay.
Okay.
Or
For
hold on. Let me finish. So they got that. You have templates. You have your damage deck. Then you just go for whatever faction you want. You can go for either buying a kit from somebody who has sold one before and then just getting a conversion kit, or you can go and I really want to play Republic. Well, you just pick up the, what is it? Not Servants of the Republic. What is it? Guardians of the Republic? The
Yeah.
Guardians pack, and
Guardians.
maybe some of the Jedi and the Naboo starfighters. Whichever faction you need, but you can get a player in without ever having to buy the core set. And of course, if they are going to play Rebels and Imperials, you have that available as well.
So, for the people on the chat, or maybe you guys already know, I'm wondering. So the cost of entry has always been in order to field a list, right? A good viable list. So I think right now probably the most inexpensive list to field is probably Republic, just because the Jedi are so good, but yet are costed a little bit on the higher end. So let's say it's Guardians of the Republic. So if you buy the Guardians of the Republic pack, a damage deck, the asteroid kit. Actually, Guardians of the Republic already come with the gas clouds, right? So yeah, you don't even need the debris kit. So you've got you got that pack. You've got a damage deck. You've got a set of dice, the regular dice that come in the the $5 dice or whatever they are. I think they're $5 or $6.
Yep.
And what else do you need? You probably need one more Jedi pack in order to fly 2 Jedi and 2 V19s.
You can get
the templates you get the big train track ugly silver ones.
No, don't get those. Why would you?
No,
why would you?
well,
even
I'm just
pay
saying.
money
I'm
for
talking
those?
about FFG. I'm talking about at FFG official to get the cost of entry for FFG official stuff is the ugly train track silver ones, damage deck, a Guardian of the Republic, and an additional Jedi Starfighter. How much is that? What's the point of entry?
Oh, I was supposed to be doing math. I'm
30,
sorry.
70, 90, under 100 still.
Okay, it's under 100. And also the dice, because you will need the dice.
I was counting the dice.
Oh, you were counting the dice.
Yeah, see, that's my question. Someone who has access, do math. If you buy,
So somebody's saying right now $5.
How much are the templates?
$20.
Oh, so if you get like Curl Paw or something like that, well, okay, let's just say $20, regardless of whether you get the ugly silver ones or third-party ones.
So it's about for templates, dice, damage deck, you're looking at $35 right there.
Okay, and then you just need the ships, which are the Guardians of the Republic. You can get anywhere between $30 to $40.
Mm-hmm. And then a Delta is 20.
And then the Delta you can get anywhere from $12 to $20, depending if you buy it on special or not.
That's about $95.
Between $75 to $95, depending if you.
that's
buy
not
it on
bad, dude.
special.
$100 for a miniature.
Yeah, $100 to have a competitive squad at a miniatures, and one faction only. But I mean, it's enough to get you started.
Well, and I think that's the way that FFG is trying to go with the whole. We've gotten the faction specific prizes. We got these faction specific damage decks. Is just. I want to make it really as easy as possible for people to get in. I know a lot of us have that collector mentality where like, I want to play everything. I want to play everything and I have to get everything. Now there is a better way. There's another way to get into the game for more people. And I think accessibility is really, really important because that'll just get you more players in the game.
Yeah, I heard when I was at Nova, I was on the way down on an elevator. And there was a couple of people that had their like I don't know, a bunch of miniatures, so I couldn't recognize. And I was just in the back, and they were talking about different stuff, and they started talking about X-Wing, whether they play X-Wing or not. And one of them said, "No, I quit X-Wing because I was tired of having to buy packs just to get a card that I needed for a faction that I didn't even care about flying, because I needed that one particular card, like Afterburners, for example, on a completely. So I'm just buying a card for stuff that I'm going to end up just throwing away because I don't need the ship. I don't need anything else on it. Just that one card. So hopefully, I mean, this is taking us away from that. So hopefully, this is keeping people. This will help people from moving away from the game, and I don't know how they advertise it, but hopefully it'll also help bring some of those people who think that the cost of entry is high, or that even not the cost of entry, the cost to remain competitive is high. Hopefully, this will kind of give people the peace of mind that you if you're only committing to one faction, you don't have to go and buy all kinds of additional stuff anymore.
Yep. All right. Well, we have run a little bit longer than. I mean, actually, I'm not surprised. First podcast, all three of us, in a while. We're a little bit past the 2-hour mark, so we're gonna go ahead and next week we're gonna talk about post-tournament emotions. It'll be after our official end of the world tour. And yes, if you're in the Chicagoland area or you're going to be there in the Chicagoland area, we have a hyperspace trial. The link to sign up, I'm going to go ahead and put it in our chat bot. It's not in there right now, but we'll figure it out. We'll do it !HST hyperspace trial if you want to sign up. Make that super easy. So we'll have some additional surprise port. Yeah, I guess you guys don't know what it is. Surprise port there, but I'm just super excited to play. We're also looking for a couple of people to do remote stats on the stream so that everybody here at Gold Squadron can actually play, have a good time. And I figured that a perfect way to end the world tour, we've been recording all this X-Wing. Let's go ahead and finish it by playing some X-Wing. Still have a stream up and things like that, but yeah, should be super fun. Any shout-outs before we close it down? We'll start with you, Marcel.
I just want to shout out everybody I played at Nova. I want to, I think not only everybody I played at Nova, but also everybody that sent me good, send me messages throughout the day. I think Bartos from Poland, especially, he. When I started out 1 and 2, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I'm probably gonna just call it a day. And Bartos kind of like talked me to just keep pushing through. It's like, just keep at it. You never know what happens. And there was a couple other people that did as well. And yeah, like I said, I went in a 5 or 6 game win streak after that. So yeah, thanks to everybody who did that, and thanks for William, really just for. I always have to acknowledge everybody that stays with me. So thanks for putting up with my snoring. And it's a thing. I mean, you laugh about it, but
I've slept in the same rooms with you. I get it. I understand.
I know we've been A to B before. And what else? Yeah, just big shout out again. It's a week removed, but still big shout out to everybody from the US team and everybody that was in that had anything to do with us getting over there. Which before we leave, Dion, it's just a reminder, and for everybody listening, the T-shirts and everything are going to be sent out. Dion has them. So
I have everything.
He was on a world tour, so we couldn't send those out before we left. But yeah, those are all going out. So
yes,
again, much love. And if you're at Hyperspace Trial this weekend, watch out because I'm coming for blood.
Will.
Man, I met so many new faces and new players. This was my first major. Actually, I'm trying to think of the most East I've ever played, and I think it was Gen Con. I think that's the farthest East I've played. So being able to dive in, I played in Crate Cup. That's pretty far east, right?
Yeah, that's as east as you can go in the United States, I think.
Yeah, right. So my second major event out on the East Coast, and I was able to meet a whole bunch of people. I can't even name them all because there were dozens per day. Big shout out to Raymond Fox and Daniel Forentini. They were helping me pack stuff up at the end as they were packing. You can hear in the finals video just like people slamming tables together while they're like trying to close down the convention. So
Yep.
they were helping me bound wires and do all those things. So I really appreciated their help. I was scrambling Thursday morning. No, Friday morning. I was scrambling Friday morning. I didn't have time to tape. So I had a shout out to everybody who was helping me set up that morning because I was in a panic, just trying to get. I was like, I don't need the second screen. I don't need any of it. I just need internet and get the cameras going, and we'll go from there. So and I was able to be prepared. I didn't have to slow down the judges at all. They were nice enough to ask me. I was like, no, you do you. I'll keep up with you guys, So thankfully everything worked out. So yeah, like I said, just everybody I met, everybody I got to hang out with, everybody who was chatting up online, who was watching the games live, giving me support, giving me the what do I want to say, confidence to commentate. It is a little hard by yourself. So I was glad to have the chat to talk to during the games, keep me focused in. But overall, I had an amazing experience. Definitely want to go back next year.
Awesome. Yeah. Good night, honey. Mrs. Gold Squadron podcast. Sleepy eyes. Good night.
I thought you were telling that to me.
I mean, yeah, you too. So the exclamation point HST command should be up and running if somebody wants to give that a test. But yeah, I'm super grateful for everybody who, again, I want to hit this again. Everybody who was involved in the World Tour in any way. Viewers, supporters, sponsors, donators, subscribers, patrons, co-hosts, additional hosts, guest commentators, the whole shebang, FFG, everybody who's just part of what made, and it is impossible. Like I'm gonna try to do like a formal thank you, like a written thank you for everybody who helped out, and I'm gonna miss people. That's why there's definitely gonna be a line at the end. And anybody else, and I'm sorry if I forgot to name you by name, because there was so many people who helped make it just possible, and it was difficult, but without everybody's support, it would not have been, it wouldn't have been a thing at all. So thank you guys so much, and we'll be back next week with our next podcast episode. We should be going back to pretty normal, regular content here. Again, we'll be live this weekend from the Gold Squadron Hyperspace Trial at Pastimes in Niles, Illinois. Hopefully you guys can join us in person or online. Thanks for watching, everybody. Gold Squadron out.